and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you do roll call, please?
Johnson.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Holden.
Here.
Hauser. Here. Gonzalez.
Here.
Gilmore.
Here.
Bassett.
Here. Okay. First up is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda as presented.
Then moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes for the commissioners meeting as a whole and the closed session minutes of February 5th.
Well, we the whole February 5th in the closed session minutes from September 18th. Well, I'm not distributed before.
Okay. You want a minute to read those first, or that's 6 months ago, I guess. You might want to refresh your memory. Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes as presented. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Pat?
Most of you guys know me. I'm Pat Adams, one of the constituents of Clare County. A few questions or concerns I have. As you guys know, I come to a lot of the meetings. I go to the county road commission meetings. I go to the Hayes Township meetings. One of the concerns was that, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, Hayes Township quit having the committee of whole meetings because whenever they voted on stuff, they had to have special meetings instead of committee of wholes. I don't know whether the law changed or not, but when I was in the meeting a couple weeks ago, I know in your committee of the whole, you guys voted on quite a few things. So I didn't know if that changed or if it was proper or not. Second thing is, you guys mentioned that you didn't have the closed session meeting with a lawyer because you called in sick and there was a $80,000 lawyer fee you weren't happy with because they didn't represent the board very well because it was filed in the wrong court. My understanding that was about the prosecutor. I guess my question on that one is I don't know, maybe a month ago, the current prosecutor approached the board saying that he wanted to give pay raises to people in his department restructure. You guys all said, hey, there's no problem with that. We're fine with that as long as you don't go outside your budget. You can do whatever you want to within your domain as long as you don't go outside the budget. And a question was asked of him if he planned on getting a pay raise. And he says, no, he's good with his pay raise. And then in the last meeting, I guess there was a group meeting saying that he was underpaid compared to everybody else. And then he gets the pay raise up to, I think no, it said 105,000. My concern in that is that the previous prosecutor sued the board because she felt she wasn't getting the cooperation of the board. And optics are, in my opinion, that with her leaving, new prosecutor coming in, all of a sudden he gets a pay raise. That doesn't look very good.
Let me explain
Optics
something
to me.
to you may have missed. Okay, first off, he said he does not need more staff. He needed less staff.
He did, yes.
So, and they seem to be knocking it out of the park and doing a wonderful job. And so if they can do it with less staff and stay within their budget, we did a wage comparison. We have a personnel and wage committee. You're probably not aware,
I am,
but that committee actually did a study of the surrounding counties and compared wages. And the prosecutor and assistant were slightly under average. And we took action, recommended action from that board to this board, take action to bring them up to average. And over the 3-year period of time, they came up to average.
Yeah.
And they'll still be slightly below average. But since he's working within his budget, and in fact saying his budget is more than he needs, it's more than sufficient. I think if they need to pay their assistants more, stay within their budget and are doing a great job, that's his business. He's running that department.
I understand that.
Okay.
You actually said you guys had a budget.
So what's your
committee member.
issue?
My issue is the optics that, I'm not saying anything about the. Assistants, because in the meeting, he asked for money, more money, Bill, give more money to the assistants. Everybody said, yeah, that's great. Questions asked, do you want to pay a raise too? You guys said, he said, no, I'm good where I'm at. Then you guys gave the pay raise. So I'm just saying, there's an optics here is all, that's all I'm saying. And that, you know, he says he doesn't need more money. A lawsuit was filed, and the county has over $80,000 in it. I know according to the Cleaver, Lori had stated that your guys are going to go after the old prosecutor for the money. I don't know whether you guys are or not. I don't know whether the decision's been changed. I'm just saying the optics are there. If something.
Well, we're meeting with our attorney today.
Pardon me?
We're meeting with our attorney
Okay.
today. Closed session will be right after.
I saw
public
that.
Comment. So we will get more information in about 20 minutes here.
Okay.
But no, it was postponed one meeting because the attorney was not available.
Right, that's what you said, they were
Okay.
sick, but,
But I guess I'm not understanding your issue. Yes, we had a lawsuit filed against us by the former prosecutor.
yes,
Because we didn't want to keep hiring more attorneys for that office. We felt they were overstaffed by comparison to the surrounding counties. And that was dealt with in the court system,
okay,
okay? Our current prosecutor says he has plenty of staff and they're working with almost half of what the former prosecutor did. So the amount of money we're expending for our current prosecutor's office is significantly lower than we did in the past. So I think if he wants some extra cooperation, as long as he stays within his budget, we should allow him to see what he can do.
okay.
That's my opinion. So,
Correct, and as I talked to you previously, that, none of this was personal for me, none of it's personal for you. That everybody's gonna have different opinions, I'm just saying in my opinion, there's an optic out there.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right. Any other public comment? Okay, Laura, do you have an administrator's report?
Yes, we are still working on the audit. We're finishing that up right now, so that should be done within the next, well, hopefully the next week. Jenny and I have been, working with the bond council and finalizing the bond information for the road commission, so that, I have that for signatures today. Possibly good news, Charter Spectrum is expanding their fiber plant in Clare County. They are applying for the BEAD funding for this expansion, and they do need our help. I don't know if you remember, but we participated and helped write the Robin grant. And then we were given the Robin grant, and then the state took it out from under us. So I'm hopeful, but not holding my breath, after the rug was pulled out from under us before. Windows 10 end of life is coming by October 14th, and so we're now in the process of updating all Windows systems, which we planned for last year. Currently we're cross-referencing the need with any turnover that has happened. We are starting our cybersecurity audit. I'm kind of excited to see how much we have accomplished in the past 2.5 years. The governor's budget plan was released with counties only receiving a 4% increase in revenue sharing proposed, but does not apply to the entire revenue sharing base from 25. Notably absent from this plan is the revenue sharing trust fund that we have been pushing for local governments groups, and they have supported for a long time. The governor is also seeking 75 million for public safety and violence prevention. However, counties are excluded from eligibility. This funding is only slated for cities and townships, and most rural townships rely on county level services. The Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency notified us that they discovered that they don't have as much money that they thought they did for fiscal year 25. So they were adjusting everyone's grant allocation, which was gonna affect Clark County by about $20,000 because our Veterans Affairs, our Veteran Services Department already spent that money. So I did, as an update this morning, I did get a hold of them and had a discussion because they did sign a grant agreement. So they are going to honor the extra $20,000. So that's kind of not an issue right now. And then I just wanted to say something real quick. I don't know if anybody heard about the active shooter that was, south of Clark County in Isabella County, Coleman area yesterday. But our deputies were, called to assist the state police in the night. When our deputies got there, shots were fired between the suspect and the state police. So when our deputies got there, the state police and the suspect were actually shooting at each other. A 12-year-old girl was hit, and one of our deputies, and this was not on the news, but one of our deputies risked his life. He went into the house where the active shooter was. They believed that he was in the basement. He found the 12-year-old girl, put her over his shoulder, and took her out to safety. So I'm pretty proud of that for Clare County, that our deputy did that. And that's all I have.
Next on the agenda is our closed session. David, would you read the motion during the closed session, please?
Of course. Motion that the board will meet in closed session under section 8H of the Open Meetings Act to consult with our attorney to discuss our attorney's written opinion.
Session. Bill, you're up next. Is about the Dockintown Lake Dam resolution, if there's something you'd like to.
Yes, basically over here today, we have two resolutions to bring from the board. One is for Dockintown and one is for Cranberry. Basically, we need funding. Eagle has given us pretty much an ultimatum to take care of this issue. These issues on both lakes. So I'm just basically asking for your opinion or thoughts. Kyle here from Fahey is our lawyer, and he's going to explain the resolution process. And for those of you who don't know, and I'll learn a lot myself. So, Kyle, would you go for it?
Yes, thank you, Bill. Good morning. My name is Kyle O'Mara. I'm an attorney for the Drain Commissioner at Fahey Schultz Berzick Roads. Before you have two resolutions that are for authorization of expenditures over $10,000 for both Dock and Tom and Cranberry Lakes. It is important to, I think, especially for those that may be new to the county board. I remember being here being before the county board about a couple of years ago, doing work on a variety of the lake levels. But Clare County has over a dozen legally established lake levels, which is under a state law, Part 307 of Michigan's Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act. That generally what it does is the circuit court in the county establishes a lake level that the county is responsible for maintaining, and it delegates essentially the day-to-day and most of the operations to the drain office. In the lake level orders by the court establishes a special assessment district of properties that the court believes are benefited from the lake level. and they pay for the work to be done on the lakes. And you'll see that in these resolutions that all the costs of the lake level activities in the resolution would be borne by the assessing each independent special assessment district. So Bill mentioned this, but in the lake level structures for all of the county's lake levels must be inspected at least every 3 years. And then based on those reports, there's work that's determined whether it needs to be done or not, or what kind of maintenance activities are necessary, and inspected by a professional engineer. 30722 of part 307 says that whenever any work is going to be over $10,000, that the county board has to authorize the annual expenditure of more than $10,000 on any of the structures. We have conferred with the Drain Commissioner's engineers at Spicer Group as to both Dock and Tom and Cranberry Lakes to help give a little bit of flavor for what work is proposed to be done. They'll just realize I'm not an engineer, so if you ask too many questions about the work, I may not be able to answer them. But I see for Dock and Tom, there's a potential to increase the capacity of the auxiliary spillway and riprap protection on the right embankment. That is the proposed work, and as well as permitting and studying and investigating the ways for those issues. Cranberry Lake, there's an outlet pipe in poor condition. The work would be related to evaluating the design as well as construction to fix that pipe. Both the work, although it has not been bid, of course, is estimated to be more than $10,000. The work would be assessed to the property owners, assuming it is complete. And the reason for the resolutions before you is anytime there is work that would exceed $10,000, the county board has to authorize it. The one thing I want to really emphasize and be clear about is the statute's a little weird. I wish it wasn't written this way, but I think if you're a person sitting on the county board, you would think this may seem to be like an open checkbook. It's over $10,000. It doesn't have a do not exceed and so forth. The reason why it may do that or may be structured in that way is when the projects are assessed, the project costs and the proposed assessments come before the board again. So you know the exact cost of the work, and you have approval authority over that. This is just the step to basically take the initiating action to determine that the Drain Commissioner can move forward. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone on the board may have.
Questions, anybody?
Do you have a question? So for the resolution numbers for Cranberry Lake and for Dock and Tom, the resolution number at the top is different from the one in the bottom paragraph. They're flipped. Is that which is which?
That's mine.
Just typo.
Okay.
Yeah, I would suggest just hand annotating so they're consistent with each other.
Anyone else?
Is there money that?
Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, is there money that's already set aside for some of this work?
There are some, but like I said, it's $10,000 and above 10,000, we're gonna have to have a resolution. There is some money there, not enough to do anything really, in either one of the lakes. On Dock and Tom, we've already used pretty much what we needed to use this spring or this last fall, and got a lot of the work done before Eagle had actually did anything about making us do it. So now we are gonna need the extra money.
And the property owners have to pay for it,
Yes,
and then once it's paid for, then the property owners are not assessed anymore.
correct.
Correct. So the on that note, assessments only relate to work that is incurred or that needs to be done. So every time there's an assessment of what I would call significance, if it's like a $1 assessment, this may not be the case, but anytime there's an assessment of significance, there is an assessment hearing where the property owners are mailed notice and they can come and object to their assessments. So the way the statute works is a little bit different than, let's say you were, working in a city and you have a water plant that has a capital improvement fund. You really don't have that for these dams because that's special assessments are different. You can only assess for work that is you can't build up money, basically, is what is how the scheme is structured.
And with the county, is the county being the responsible party for the lake levels? If you don't do the improvement or the upgrade of what's inspected, what the outcome of the inspection report is, then if something does happen, then you are responsible because you are the ones that have to maintain the lake levels.
Well, we're in charge of taking care of the water control structures, if that's what you're saying.
Right, but the county is responsible for the
Liable.
lake levels and give that duty to the drain commissioner.
Correct. Sound right, Kyle?
That does sound right. And it's, I think the point that the administrator may be making is if you don't authorize basically the process to move forward with moving with the work, the state regulatory agency, Eagle, the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, can order work to be done. And if let's say the county would not want to authorize the drain commissioner to use assessments or some other mechanism for the property owners to pay for it, the county could be ordered to do the work and potentially use its general fund.
Now, both these structures have been, we've been notified that we should have taken care of this a couple of years ago. And this would be like our third inspection and we've not done anything to these in those three notifications. So Eagle is probably running out of patience with us, basically.
You have the ballpark figure.
We really, on the back of one of these sheets, and we have a general estimate of, I think it should have been given to you, wasn't it, Lori? If you give it the sheet with the price list on.
I don't have that.
Yeah, we got the general ballpark idea, just Cranberry Lake alone, it's like, the cost and right around a little over 30,000, that's not actually doing the work, that's just the engineering studies, hydraulic studies, as well as, odds and ends, but it's not actually, and permits, that's not actually the cost of doing the job itself.
So would there be a second resolution that has to take place for the actual work, or would this resolution?
This
for-
resolution would take care of
Okay.
that, but we'd have to come in front of you and we'd let you know what the actual cost was. How would you describe that or explain that, Kyle?
I do, yeah. So the drain commissioner would hold assessment hearings where they're required to put together a computation of costs. That would be the exact cost of the project. The board would have the responsibility of approving the computation of costs in the assessment role. So you see what the exact cost of the project would be. I hesitate to give out numbers, but I always know it's asked. So I did inquire with the engineer as to estimates. Obviously, none of the work has been bid out, and some of it has not even been engineered as designed. But just construction costs alone, I have estimates from the engineer for Dock and Tom to be around 60 to 80,000, and then Cranberry Lake actually to be 60 to 80,000. Dock and Tom, I have indications that there would be $15,000 in the study to evaluate and permit the items that I described to you. And then I think the evaluate and design work for Cranberry Lake is about 40,000. And I know a couple of years ago and I think they're at least on file at the drain office. There is the court orders with the boundaries of the special assessment districts. So you're able to understand how many parcels that they can be assessed against. As well as Part 307 does allow for, of course, like most other statutes, multi-year assessments. So, for example, in the Four Lakes situation in Midland and Gladwin counties, they've spread assessments over like 30 years. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case here, given the dollar amounts. But there are mechanisms, and I think the drain office has always been very cognizant of making sure that annual assessment amounts for this work that is required is affordable to the property owners.
Well, okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bill. Steve, would you read that motion, please?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 2506 for Doc and Tom Lake. Resolution number 25-07 for Cranberry Lake pursuant to MCL 324.30701.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Justin,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Titus,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Hauser. Yes. Rose.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else for?
Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Statutory Finance Committee report. Marlene, would you do that, please?
Make a motion to approve statutory finance committee meeting minutes of January 21st, 2025 in the amount of $147,035.56. And minutes of February 3rd, 2025 in the amount of $103,004.97.
I'll second it.
They're moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Titus,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Rick.
To approve the expenditures of the month of January 2025, amount of $2,800,878.78. The general fund expenditures totaling $1,085,208.03.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Rose,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Copeland.
Yeah.
Justin,
Yes.
Yes.
Titus,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Okay, we don't have any budget adjustments. Jack, would you do the maintenance credit card, please?
I move to approve a county credit card with a $3,000 limit for the maintenance department.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, was that Rose?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? I think Lori explained it to us at the last meeting that it was necessary. It would be a cost saving for the county. Okay, roll call, please.
Bacon,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Haskell,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Reinhardt,
Yes.
Gilmore,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
excuse me, Titus.
Yes.
Okay, carried. Before we move on, we did change signers for the checks at the last meeting. And from the legal opinion, they say we should have an alternate signer for the administration in case it was necessary. Chances of them ever actually signing is probably very slim. But it should be a board member. And it needs to be a board member that's not currently, did you have a question, Jenny?
No, I was just my.
You raised your hand.
It's an option.
I was paying attention. So it should be one of the board members that's not currently on the finance committee.
George Order.
Can we make a motion?
It needs to be in the form of a motion, and we need to ask people who would be willing to do that. David, I do appreciate that. Do we need to elect someone, or Dale, you would be willing? Any others? Okay, we need it in the form of a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Gail Majeski as the signer.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Dale as the alternate signer if necessary. Any discussion? Jenny,
Just, in the motion itself, it would be in the event of the administrator as the current signer. It wouldn't be in the event that something happens to the three signers. Just unless I have a full one that's not.
Just in case I die.
No, just in case she's not around or anything like that, so. So for instance, there's only two signers.
There's only two
We'll
signers,
check that
right,
I'm signing it, but
yeah.
in case something happens to me, my chief deputy would be in my place, and so this person would be
And Lori's.
in case something happened to Lori. So I don't know how you rephrase that.
Read the motion that's on the agenda that will
Right.
take care of this, right?
Would you like to restate that then, Marlene?
Yes. Well, no, the one that's on the agenda says in the event the three current signers are incapacitated, unless I've got some old agenda.
No, you have current.
That's
That's
correct.
the right one.
That's the right one. So instead of saying three, it would be in the event the administrator
Yes,
wasn't-
it's all right.
was
So
incapacitated.
there needs to be a change.
Yeah.
In the event that the administrator
Is incapacitated.
is incapacitated.
Rephrase that. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to add Dale Majeski as the additional signer to the county accounts in the event the administrator is incapacitated.
Second. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Dale. Okay, Beth, give it to the land bank.
Yeah, motion to appoint Ross Wilson as the Farwell area representative to the Land Bank Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, been moved and seconded to appoint Dwayne.
Ross.
I'm sorry. Ross.
Sorry, I didn't catch who made the motion for second.
Jeff.
Oh, Dale,
Dale
Dale
And
second.
then I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, clerk's report. Lori.
The election, I can tell you who filed now, because it actually filed, was the Fair Island RSD, which is almost a countywide election. Every township doesn't participate in the Fair Island RSD, so they'll be excluded from the election. Everyone else is in it. We also had a Osceola County ISD file that affects one address in our county. So we have to create a ballot for them. And Hayes Township put a millage renewal on ballot. Those are left. Yeah, so that's all of them.
Thank you. Jenny.
Good morning. I handed out the statutory reports, before the meeting. You should have them on your desks. Check those out. Those are, as of yesterday's dates, so they are updated. Look these over, let me know if you have any questions or would like any different information. I do these to you every month, but if you would like something different, please let me know. My office is Dublin, right? Tax deadlines are here. 2024 tax settlement is around the corner for all 19 local units. That starts March 1st. We try to be done by March 20th. All depends on how smooth it runs on the other side. Dog license renewal deadlines are also here. So if you have a dog and it's not licensed, please stop by our office. And special for this year to keep in line with the new Supreme Court ruling in the Schaefer versus Kent County and with approval from the judge in the Fox case. So you guys, like we discussed before, that we're in the Eastern District side of the class action, which it has not been determined a class action suit. But the Schaefer versus Kent County was decided before that happened. But we did get approval from the judge. Fox case is not settled yet, but they did allow us to send out notices because as per the Schaefer versus Kent County, they have until March 31st to file a notice of intent to claim any surplus proceeds. We sent out notices to any potential claimants whose property or interest was foreclosed and sold in an auction between the 2013 and 2020 auction years. It was supposed to be the 2020, but part of their negotiations, they wanted to make it match with the western side, because the western side has been settled. However, it has not been paid out because there's more appeals. Every time something gets determined, there's more appeals going on. So we have these notices have hit mailboxes, so they are legit. If anybody says that they're receiving these weird notices coming from the Clare County Treasurer's Office. And basically, it is anybody that potentially had an interest. It wouldn't necessarily just be an owner, but anybody that had an interest, any kind of lien on the property prior to foreclosure. So it's created a big spike in phone calls. There is a deadline of March 31st, 2025 to file a notice of intent to claim these possible proceeds. Just in case you guys get questions, or maybe you might get one in the mail. Just kidding. But, and on a lighter note, there is another one-stop shop rabies vaccination and dog license clinic at the animal shelter this Saturday, February 22nd. It's for Clare County residents only between 10 a.m. and 2. And if you could help get the word out, my office will be there selling licenses, along with, the vets giving the rabies vaccinations. Other things to note, we're working on 18 Michigan Tax Tribunal corrections of uncapping. These are tax adjustments. As you probably know, my office is the middleman because we have all of the tax rolls prior to the current roll, so 2023 and prior. So whenever there is an adjustment, it comes to our office. They come from the assessors, order reviews, the tax tribunal, or the tax commission, or the principal residence unit. They send us prior year's adjustments that are needed, and then we process those. We have to do the refunding, the invoicing, the general ledger, and the tax software reconciliation, etc. I have completed setting up the new funds and the bank account for the road commission bond. So we're all set for the bond closing and received bond funds on March 4th. And I've been working with the auditors and Lori to wrap up the audit. We're getting close. And investing, we're investing. The investment rates are holding somewhat. They're down a little bit, but exciting to actually have rates. And just on a note, I'll order up that credit card for maintenance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. So it's a long report, but if anyone has any questions,
Okay,
you're welcome.
my report, I did call Bonnie yesterday just to clarify so that she doesn't have phone calls coming into her office from everyone in the building at any time. We're going back to the policy that I think is still in place. I'll have Lori check today. Any of the board members can contact her about board business if they need to. Any other requests from department chairs or other elected officials in the county need to go through our county administrator, Bonnie, and then the answer will go to all those concerned. So I did call her to clarify that yesterday. Other than that, I've been attending my township meetings, committee meetings, and nothing really to report. Except Dwayne, we put you on the spot. I still have not received the feasibility study that was requested from the township official that wanted it.
Yeah, you'll get it. I've been in talks with that.
So if you can email that to me, I will make sure that they have a copy of it.
Yep.
All right, thank you. That's my report. Other commissioner reports, Rick. I have a report today.
Me, just been attending all my meetings, nothing else new to report.
Dave,
All I have to report is that the next airport committee meeting is next Tuesday in this room.
David?
So Franklin Township is currently redoing the ordinances. The local emergency planning commission, they found that there was a bit of a paperwork snafu. We had to make a motion to allow the DOC representative itself to be able to vote. There's before the public votes that passed. Now we get to vote again. Cross Township, we've been talking about changing the fee schedules. in all the different townships. Recently talking about, the big wind and solar farms that are coming in. Hamilton is going to be creating, about it. They have a public hearing March 6th, that is at 6 p.m. before their normal meeting. The E911 advisory board, the radio project has been delayed, but we're hopeful that it should get finished relatively soon. And with the new term, the citizen rep position is open, if any members of the public wish to apply for it. Cross Township is also going to be applying for a grant to get ballot bags. And Summerfield Township hired new employees for their transfer station, and they added people to their.
Yeah.
The MAC this month was canceled because of an ice storm. There's nothing new to report on the state. Sheridan Township has been contacted by a company that looking at the feasibility of putting windmills. And if this would go through, it would be the first windmills that actually comes into play. So they're just looking at it. I kind of thought the windmill business was a dead issue, but I guess it's not. So Arthur Township, which has at this point the bulk of the leased land for solar, we plan on starting this spring to install some of those stuff. There's not a great deal of solar cells coming into Arthur yet, so I guess they're still trying to lease some land. I did hear there's going to be some solar cells. I'm going to have this down the road. If it all comes to pass.
Just a comment, I talked 2 years ago. Sheridan Township did a feasibility study for the windmills and had decided not to allow them in their township.
Well, I don't think with the new laws passed, with the Public Utilities Commission having made a study. Which we can stop it. DTE, which has been to a couple of meetings I've been at, they say, oh, they want to work with the townships. Everything worked, but with the township said no. What David talked about their Creo up there, and I just heard about that last night. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. He's going to be at the next township meeting to explain. Like, it must be something to do with the funding, David.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
So the way that the state law is made with the mission at the state level having control, Rio is the ordinance for it. If you put in your township the exact ordinance that the state has, you can recoup costs for the process of the meetings. You can't stop it, but you can at least get money for it. So there is also an appeal that is happening. It's free to join. Any local municipalities can join to appeal the decision to make it the commission and Hastings authority versus the control. But the Creo is public money from that is coming in and going to do that. So
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Jacob?
Went to the Surrey Township meeting. There was a lot of issues the constituents were having with some other stuff with Lake 13, which wasn't to do with the township necessarily. So it was something that's handled by the Lake Improvement Board, which being on the Lake Improvement Board and being able to go to that, and we're starting to work towards a plan on addressing some of those issues that they're having. And the village of Farwell has attended those meetings, and they're looking at adding in a new sign coming in on in the village. So that is all from the meetings that I've been attending.
Yeah.
Yeah, just attending my meetings and that, just a topic that Greenwood Township's having is they're looking at, trying to raise some money to offset the costs of fire protection, for Greenwood Township. They're looking at a potential $20 assessment on the taxes for something like that per land parcel. So, it's just in the discussion phases right now and they're moving forward with that.
Any update on the grant you were supposed to get for your park?
Yes, it's moving forward. It's over $800,000 grant. It has not been pulled yet, but they're moving forward with it, engineering and all that. So it's a great thing.
Very good.
So that's it.
Is that one of the ones being canceled?
Yes.
Lori. County budget.
So at this time, we should make sure that we're about approximately 41.67% expensed. And currently we are at 31.4% expensed. Last year at this time, we were at 38.57 expensed. Currently, we have only received 14% of our revenue, but that's not unusual at this time of year. So. Any questions?
34.1%.
You're
Yeah.
at 31.4.
That brings it back down to public comment.
I just wanted to take a second and have some kudos for people. First of all, Miss Jenny, she helps me so much with working with Gladwin and the federal government has changed my reporting. Because we take program fees, I have to have this person's name associated with the money that they paid. And then I have to put where I spent that money on that individual. So Clare County is wonderful about it. Gladwin we're working with, and Miss Jenny has been a wonderful go-between for that. So not only does she help Clare County, she's helping me keep my program in balance, which is very, very helpful. And then I wanted to say kudos to Miss Lori for allowing your deputy clerk to be a member of the Clare County Recovery Court team. She is invaluable to everything that she does, keeping all of my fines and fees and costs in line for participants. And that's really huge because it's one of the last things they want to deal with. And I don't want a month or 2 months before graduation, they owe $3,000. So Claire, you're not gonna graduate. But it's wonderful that she does that. And she also is helping because of the turnover and everything to Gladwin. Stacy has been helping that clerk learn what to do and how to put out the report so that it works for us. And that's been just a wonderful help to me with working interagency. So, and then to Ms. Phelps, who is a whiz with budgets and keeping things online. And it's no surprise that you're under budget and everything that you've done. She keeps me on task with my budget, spends her time to meet with me to make sure I'm doing my grant funding right and I'm putting things in the correct category. So you guys have a really heck of a good staff here at Clare County, and you guys work fabulously too, just listening to your reports from the meetings and such that you're going to. But you really have a great staff, and I think that should be commended every now and again for people to be held up to how wonderful they are. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Anything for the good of the group?
Should have said it, huh? For the good of the group.
Either one is there.
Okay.
Then 11:05.
We have stuff under new business.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I missed one. I apologize. Zoom discussion. I think, and I will ask you, Jody, do we get anyone who's not a county employee that zooms in?
We do. We do. At times, let me. We've got 1, 2, 3. We have 4 out of 10 that are not county employees. One just left. It's 9.
Okay. My question was going to be, do we really want to continue to Zoom? It's an expense to the county. We have to pay Jody her time to sit there and run the Zoom. When the only people watching it are county employees who can, at any time they have business they want to do at a county meeting, can come here and deal with us personally. They're not allowed to participate on Zoom anyway. They're merely watching us on Zoom. I think it's kind of a expense we don't need to continue to do. How does anyone else feel about it?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I would say that my district is always happy with the option. In Zoom. Several of the townships are quite a distance away from county seat.
It doesn't allow them to participate.
But they can see this one.
Which also alludes to another topic is I was looking at our site and I've had other people come up to me and ask because they noticed that after 2022, once all of the COVID requirements for meeting recordings to be online had ended, that we don't have any of our current meetings online, even though we do have a Zoom and we have the OWL system that was installed to be able to record the meetings, that they're not available. So outside of this time where it's during the middle of the workday and difficult for people to get out and be able to come here to see what's going on, that are interested in what we're doing here with the tax money and the decisions that we're making. I think it would be a good idea to not just continue the Zoom, but also take the recordings from the Zoom and continue to post them online for people that aren't able to make it during this time, to be able to have access to see what we're doing and if they have interest in what's going on at the county level, which I think I've had plenty of constituents that would like to know firsthand without just my report to them at our meetings on what's going on and be able to form their own opinions about what's going on or be able to hear the discussion going on around it to kind of have some context to the decisions that we made. So.
Maybe we should open the discussion again about having non-meeting. Because like the employees here, like today, if they were online, but you said only, 7 of them?
There's probably
Yeah,
5 or
7
6 or
of
so.
them. They've been 2 hours or so
Right,
online and they're not getting the word done and you can't read.
right.
And they have a right to know what's going on, so if we have a night meeting, we've had this discussion before and we've always turned it down. Like, maybe if the public wants to come, a lot of people are working during the day, they can't come here. So maybe we should have a conversation.
Do we want to put this on our agenda for committee of the whole?
I think it'd be good to have a discussion at the committee of the whole about routes that we can take to kind of have more exposure from what we do here on the board to the public.
Okay. I personally just think that if we're paying Jody to run it and we've got 7 people or 8 people taking a 3-hour break that we're paying them for to just watch our meeting when they really have no opportunity to contribute. If they needed to contribute, they have the opportunity to come down here and contribute and go back to work. It's not a.
I think that it also leads to potential, because I don't know the exposure that we have for the fact that we have Zoom available.
Exactly.
So I think something like advertising out to, or it being kind of shared at meetings that we all attend to, that there is a Zoom meeting if you have time to. I think adding a night meeting is a good idea. Sharing the video is a good idea. Giving avenues for people to be able to come and see what we're doing and have some insight here. And I think bringing awareness to the fact that we have Zoom available. I don't know if the participation being what it is a lack of interest or if it's a lack of education on people knowing that we have this available for them to be able to watch. And then I think, again, it alludes to people that might not be able to, that work during this time because it is the middle of the week, in the middle of the day. Having a video to be able to also go back and look at, if they're wanting to take the time to watch the video, I think it'd be great for us to provide that video for them to watch. So I think having I think spreading the word through our meetings about the Zoom might help with participation from all over the county, to be able to have access to see what we're doing here.
I think that, I don't think that the employees are, I mean, they're probably listening to our meetings and stuff like that, or they're not focused right in on our meeting. They're
Right.
probably doing their job.
Like,
I mean, I don't think that they're pulling away 2 hours to watch our meeting. I think they might be just listening to it or something like that while they're doing their work. I don't know, we're gonna have the discussion of the night meetings. The night meetings will be tough for me. So, just to let you know.
I'd like to point out my never ending complaint about broadband. We have real poor internet service in this county. There's a lot of these people that might be interested in this, they just can't, they can't pull up Zoom, and they can't do that. Now, it brings up another point, when that grant was pulled from us, that we were gonna get broadband on the eastern part of the townships in the county. The same day or close to when you notified us that the grant had been pulled, I'm watching TV 9 and 10, and Sheboygan County got a grant to do broadband throughout the whole county. I've got customers over on the west part of the state. The western part of the state, they have broadband up seasonal roads, and they have it everywhere. But why did they pull the grant from us? I guess we'd have to ask the people from the state, but
It was challenged by, so the grant was applied for with Up for Us and Point Broadband. And it was challenged by AT&T and a couple other service providers, stating that they provided enough internet access in our county. So since it was challenged, then they pulled it and spent it elsewhere. I can tell you that we have a hunting cabin in UP that is, McMillan area, that's way out in the boondocks. There's no electricity out there. But they got a Robin grant and they laid fiber back there. We don't have power, but there's fiber.
that's the part that just keeps for years, it's irritated me that we don't have decent internet.
Well, I do know that they are,
If you live in the city and you got charter and those kinds of things, you live in the country like I do, it's hit and miss, even with Starlink.
Okay, then we will discuss that further, committee of the whole.
so we want to put on just a meeting discussion, just put on meeting discussion. So we can talk about
That includes Zoom, evening meetings.
Video.
And I believe our minutes are still being posted online, aren't they, Lori?
Yes.
And the meetings are recorded, anybody can get a copy of it if they wanted to.
Yes, Jen.
I was just thinking about Dale's comment that Greenwood is having trouble with, paying for their fire. And there's more than one township, there's quite a few townships that are having trouble. And so they've been reaching out to me and I've been doing some research, and what is kind of the issue is the real property are being charged on their taxes through a special assessment generally. The personal property is not. And they can't be a special assessment, and they're being charged the fire for it. So the people where the missing piece is the personal property. But I don't know if this is some topic, maybe at MTA or something, that can be just discussed in a bigger sense, because I've been, I've had quite a few townships reaching out to me that the smaller ones are struggling because they're having to take out that piece from their general fund.
Yeah,
And a lot of people support that, and so I don't know if that might be like a bigger something.
yeah, a lot of the townships, they don't have millages, they don't have special assessments, they don't have any of that stuff for fire protection, take it out of their general fund. And that's the case with Greenwood. And with the increases that are happening, you go from 48,000 to 53,000 the next year for fire protection, when your full budget is only around 150,000. That's a big chunk out of your township budget. You know, so they're looking for other ways to raise revenue to help not solely cover the cost of fire protection, but to help ease the pain a little bit of the increases, so.
Okay, well, I don't mess up again, we should probably have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.